What's the first step of knowing who you is? Like, what you think the first step is?
Um, it's many different steps, but like I said, knowledge itself really encompasses the whole idea of it, right? If you got somebody that's in the streets, you understand me, and they want to figure out like, yo, how do I take a look at myself and start evolving past where I'm at, right? I always look at the E's that can grow a person. You got your environment, number one, right? Because your environment is connected to your nature, but it can override your nature. You understand me? So if you influenced by people that speak a certain language, that do certain things, then you automatically most likely go assimilate to the same way. You start acting like the people that you're around. Right. So you got to audit your environment, right? Do you want to become your environment, or do you want to stay in the same environment? If you're happy with the level of success that everybody in your environment has, you can look at that as your ceiling, right? That's essentially your dream, right? Same thing. Then you got the next E, emotional intelligence. Most people don't have enough emotional intelligence to understand their own thinking and feeling process, right? So you got men and women who jealous and envy of each other because they don't understand where those emotions arrive from. I always break down jealousy. It's like when you see somebody have something and you want it, you don't want them to have it. And envious is just when you see somebody and they have something you want, and you don't want them to have it, but you want it too, so you envious of them at all times. And so most people don't have enough emotional intelligence to check themselves. You understand me? And so this generation, I feel like, is operating more off emotion than feelings, and than logic and rationality, right? So then you got education. You can't do nothing with the people without them having some knowledge, right? Like, what skill sets do you have that can pay you? What skill sets that you have that can allow you to be independent? What skill sets you have that allow you to build a life that you want? You understand me? So your education levels automatically matter, but we live in environments where the education levels are low, so the people in those environments only make a certain amount of money, never able to rise out their conditions and things of that nature, right? So looking at just emotional intelligence, your environment, your education levels, right? And then for me, it's about experience and execution, right? Your experience dictate how you view and see the world, right? Like, most people never leave the hood, so their mentality is completely based in the hood.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Even when they get on social media, they looking at the hood on social media. People from that environment that's like them. So they curate that same sort of thinking, so they never go outside their box.
Yeah.
Right? Because they really not trying to change, because we was taught that change is not good. Right? When change can just represent growth. That's all that really means. But human beings fight to stay the same person. Right? Even if it's not a good person. Right? So, understanding your experiences and putting yourself into new experiences forces your mind to change and think, feel, see, and perceive the world in different ways. And then execution. Do you actually take action off the things that you learn and know? Right? Because this generation, we informed about a lot, but we not knowledgeable, or we not educated on most things.
Right.
You just got information on it. That's facts, right? Information is getting facts. A person can get big facts, but they might not operate. You can teach a person how to build a whole business, and they'll just sit there and be like, thank you, bro, I appreciate that. But they take it as entertainment, right? Instead of like instructions to execute off of. So me, I like to create these systems of analogies, because I feel like it's easier for people to remember, and they can literally go and grade themselves from a 1 to 10. What's my environment like? What are my experiences like? What's my level of execution? What's my emotional intelligence, right? And what's my education levels?
So what are some of the things you think a lot of the things that people consume, whether it's what they watch, what they hear, what they eat, affects like the energy level that they're on?
100%, right? Like, if I meet somebody who's, on a biological level, your body, your physical feet, you understand me? You eating good, right? You working out, you taking care of yourself. So your gut health, heart health, mind, brain, all of that. Because most mental health is brain issues, right? Brain health. Most people never put anything in their brain that actually like positively charges them. So you may want to have a positive day, but you got a negative body. You understand me? Because of the things that you eat, right? Then you can look at it from a spiritual level, right? Like, is what you doing aligned with who you are, right? Your values. So most people, you can make money, but you may be doing something that don't spiritually fulfill you at all, so you become depressed because you unaligned with yourself.
Facts.
Right? Then you have sociological level, which is environment again. The people you around. Like, oftentimes when you start making changes, it's the people that are around you that start to make you feel like perhaps I shouldn't be doing this, because they not changing too.
Right.
But then you realize that you don't make change for others, you make change for self. right? So because they not changing, that's not a bad thing per se, because each person has to go at their speed.
Right.
Like, you can motivate a person with words, but you inspire a person with actions, right? Even when you speak, and if I tell you about a story that sound good, that's motivation. I'm trying to give you a motive to do something. But if I'm telling you about what I did, or if I'm leading by an example, that's inspirational. You understand me? Then I'm telling you how I did it, that's educational. You understand me? So now you have an actual foundation to go build off of. And most people, they do more motivation than inspiration and education, right? So if you grade yourself from a course, then the last one, of course, is psychological, your mental levels, what do you know, right? People who actually learn are happier. They live longer, right? This is scientifically proven, right? So it's like, if you're not constantly learning, you're not constantly growing. So you're not even going to be happy at your own life.
Right.
Everything is the same. You ever meet somebody asking what you doing, man? Same shit, man. You know, ain't nothing new. You know what I'm saying? Well, you come back 5 years later, man, you know I'm on the same thing, man. But they say it kind of proudly and laugh about it. Like, bro, that's not good. Like,
facts.
Life, like my pops told me, you know, time is the measurement of motion. You run out of moves, you run out of time, and only dead men don't move. So you got to find something to do every day. Like, to me, work is a prayer. You can ask for it or you can do something for it.
How did you tap in? Like, what made you tap into this?
Man, I done had an interesting life. You know, I grew up, and I was born in St. Louis, moved to Oakland when I was 2, right? So I grew up with a black Muslim background, a black Muslim family household, but my father and my older brother was more street Muslims, if you will, right? Because in Oakland, California, it was just a different dynamic. You understand me? The Muslims out there sort of moved like a mafia, right? They ran and controlled their blocks and hood that they had in that parameter because they was very militant. You understand me? So I grew up seeing black men with power, with structure, with their own school systems, things of that nature. So as a youngin', this was already programmed into me from based on what I seen.
Right.
Then, you know, as you get older, teenage years, you in your rebellious years, we in the streets. I didn't caught many cases. You know, last one when I was 19 years old, my father and my brother co-defended some assault type situation. Somebody snitched on me, said I did something that I didn't do, clearly, because I'm not guilty. But that's how justice works. You know what I'm talking about? But I remember I was locked up and I was reading this book. It was a storybook. You know what I'm saying? Fictional. And I read it. It was about like a bank robbery or something, and it kept me entertained for the time that I was in there. But when I closed that book, I look around, I'm still locked up, and I'm in no better position mentally, financially, to get myself, you know, any closer to my freedom.
Right.
So my older brother, who was behind the bars fighting his case, when I ended up getting extradited to Oakland, because I was traveling at the time, he gave me a list of books to read. You understand me? These books were stuff that can actually, you know, help me be strategic in my case. Like, help me think during this situation, because we used to go through the whole process with the lawyers, picking a juror. You know, I remember my lawyer, he was just, you know, big fumbling. He reminded me of the Flintstones guy. You understand me? That was the main character. And I remember even at the beat my case, he was like, man, this is the first case I won. I don't know if he was joking or if he was serious to this day. You understand me? But he acted like it during the whole case. Because I remember reading certain things and like asking him to file certain motions. And he was like, I don't know about this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And he'd do it, and it actually helped the case.
Yeah.
Right? So when it got to that point.
So you didn't really have a lawyer then?
No, I ain't really have a lawyer. Like, I was never going to put my freedom in his hands anyway.
Yeah.
You understand me? Like, I always be thinking, what would God do? You understand me? And he not going to let like somebody else's knowledge or experience dictate what happens to them next in life.
Right.
Right? So when I read those books that actually helped me engage my reality better and strategize and execute, after that case of getting that non-guilty verdict, you know, I never wanted to learn, read, or do things that had nothing to do with my freedom or progress, right? And then I thought about, you know, the 80% of young men that just plead out guilty or have a lack of finances, right, that end up getting in trouble in those situations and have to do time because of, you know, lack of support, lack of finances, lack of education, right? And, you know, growing up in St. Louis and Oakland, you see it all day, all the time. Like, if I go back to St. Louis now, probably 95% of the people I grew up with dead or in jail. You understand me? Or on drugs somewhere. So it's like when I think about that, you know, I always wanted to be that key in somebody's life, because at that time, my older brother was that key in my life. You understand me? He gave me that game and that knowledge. And everybody don't have somebody that gives them that unlocks them at that point in time. But I done had so many different experiences in life, it was never just like one thing that made me who I am. It's like this cultivation of things. So I empathize with people going on a journey because I can't just point you to a book.
Facts.
You understand me? It's like it's life experience you have to go through, but you gotta have, foundation that can, point you back into the right direction, even when you veer off to the wrong.